日本時間6月25日、ドジャースの大谷翔平選手が敵地でのツインズ戦に1番投手兼 DH で先発出場をしました。この日の大谷選手は投手として6回89球を投げ5安打3失点自責点3、2四球、8奪三振、最速 163.7 キロと粘りの投球。また、打者としては5打数2安打1打点とチームの勝利に貢献する活躍を見せました。ドジャースは4対3で勝利をし、大谷選手は今季8勝目を挙げました。また、試合前からツインズ側のメディアでは大谷投手との対戦を楽しみにしている選手の声を紹介していました。ここからはその様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
So Shohei is both on the mound and at the plate today. Always a big story. So with more, let's check in with Kirsten Watson at Target Field. Hello, Kirsten.
Hi, Allie. Well, for Shohei Ohtani, he has had an excellent season just on the mound. He's got a sub-2 ERA. But if we look at his last two starts, he just hasn't been as sharp. He's given up 8 runs. Only 7 of them have been earned. But today, this afternoon, Dave Roberts spoke to the media as to what he's been seeing from Shohei and if there's any concerns heading into this start today.
I think that, the last couple haven't been ideal. I think what's led to that is, honestly, with most pitchers, is just command. And I think that the fastball command hasn't been there to his kind of expectations. The sweeper command hasn't been there to his expectations. So I think that it's not gonna continue for too much longer. So tonight, I know he's in a good place physically, emotionally, mentally. So hopefully it's a good one tonight.
He had talked about the knee inflammation and how he's past that, but could a portion of maybe of this lack of command have been due to just those things and having to deal with that separately?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. I check in with him all the time about the knee, and as does the training staff, and there's nothing from what we hear that's affecting him. So we're certainly keeping a watchful eye on him. And, he was even confident that he should and wanted to hit today. So that's a good sign.
What do you think about that blister? Because when you see blood on a player's pants, everybody thinks it's pretty severe. Is it as severe as it appears when you see that?
No, it's not. I understand that, when you get the blood, how kind of, what the thought is. But whatever it is that we put on the protective kind of aid came off, and that's what to it. So I'll let the umpires know that it's there for that purpose, and I don't expect us to see any blood tonight.
When Shohei Ohtani spoke to the media about that knee inflammation that he was dealing with that's on his landing knee when he comes down the mound, he had shared that he believed it was coming from just some of the mechanical things he was dealing with the execution of his pitches, and that led to some of that inflammation. He since then has been working on a few mechanical changes, or maybe even adjustments might be the better word to say, to try to offset some of that knee pain that he was dealing with. So coming into this one, like Dave Roberts said, he is in a good spot. They're not concerned about the blister that we've been seeing on his right hand the last 2 to 3 outings. In the last one, we did see more blood from it that was on his pants leg. But with talking to Dave Roberts or even the training staff, they have covered it with the protection. Dave did say that he has to tell the umpires that it's going to be there, but they're not expecting to see any more blood from it in this outing this evening, guys. So they do feel like ultimately he's in a really good spot coming into this game today.
With that breakdown there, Kirsten, all I hear is the word tough. Appreciate it. Good work as always. We'll talk to you coming up later in the show. Guys, I do want to talk about that blister that Shohei had that he was dealing with. Obviously, his last time out against the Rays. He still went 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, but gave up the 7 hits and the 4 earned runs. How closely do you think that they will keep an eye on it? Nomar, I'll start with you. Dave Roberts mentioned a watchful eye.
Yeah, listen, they got to pay attention to it because it's critical. We've seen other pitchers in the past when they have blisters. Does it affect their pitching? Absolutely. And Dave Roberts was mentioned about the fastball command not being there to his liking. And could the blister affect the fastball command? Sure, it can. But I think it also affected maybe some other pitches that he likes to go to. I don't know if he necessarily the last 2 outings that he used the split finger quite as much. He was going more to other type of breaking balls. But listen, he has all that in his arsenal as well, and he has a feel for what he feels like going in that particular day. But the other thing, too, is when you look at over his last 2 outings, a lot of the runs that were scored off him were actually when they were going third time through the lineup. You're looking like that fifth inning when he's given up most of those runs. And sometimes that's when the blister and the skin may be starting to come off. It usually doesn't happen early, but later on. So you're wondering, has that affected it where it comes that third time where they're being more effective against
That's
him?
exactly right. I mean, that's when he was hit around, and that's when he didn't have command, didn't have feel for really all his pitches. He was dominant his last start, the first 4 innings, but when he did have issues with the blister, as you see the blood there, he couldn't have command with that fastball. He did not have command of his breaking ball, and guess what? The Rays took advantage of it, and they squirted a lot of baseballs, and that's when you saw those earned runs go up. So, yes, they're going to closely monitor that blister. Hopefully it's not an issue moving forward, because when it's not an issue, Shohei has proven that he is absolutely dominant.
Hi, Allie. Well, for Shohei Ohtani, he has truly been excellent this season. Of course, he is very much in the conversation for the National League Cy Young. The numbers and the stuff has been excellent. But if you look at his last 2 outings in specific, he's given up 8 runs. 7 of them have been earned. So it's clear he just hasn't been as sharp. Dave Roberts today talked about Shohei and what he's been seeing from him as of late.
I think that, yeah, the last couple haven't been ideal. I think what's led to that is, honestly, with most pitchers, is just command. And I think that the fastball command hasn't been there to his kind of expectations. The sweeper command hasn't been there to his expectations. So I think that it's not gonna continue for too much longer. So tonight, I know he's in a good place physically, emotionally, mentally. So, hopefully it's a good one tonight.
He had talked about the knee inflammation and how he's past that, but could a portion of maybe this lack of command have been due to just those things and having to deal with that separately?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. I check in with him all the time about the knee, and as does the training staff, and there's nothing from what we hear that's affecting him. So we're certainly keeping a watchful eye on him. And, he was even confident that he should and wanted to hit today. So that's a good sign.
What do you think about that blister? Because when you see blood on a player's pants, everybody thinks it's pretty severe. Is it as severe as it appears when you see that?
No, it's not. I understand that, when you get the blood, how kind of, what the thought is. But whatever it is that we put on the protective kind of aid, came off, and that's what led to it. So I'll let the umpires know that it's there for that purpose, and I don't expect us to see any blood tonight.
When Shohei Ohtani was dealing with that left knee inflammation and when he had the imaging done, it presented that the fluid was primarily on the backside of his knee. And even he shared that he believed the inflammation was coming from how he was landing coming down the mound with his delivery. He shared that he was going to work through a few slight mechanical changes to try to offset that, just to put himself in a better position to not have to manage that inflammation. So coming into this one, he is ultimately feeling better. He has made a few adjustments, but now the big question has been that blister. He has shared that it's a non-issue. The Dodgers have shared it's a non-issue. It is going to be covered and protected for this game, as it has been the last few. We saw it bleeding later in the game in the last one, but they do believe that the bleeding is a thing of the past, so they're not too concerned, but they will keep an eye on it, guys.
Good stuff as always, Kirsten. We appreciate you, and I do want to dive into Shohei, guys, because for the past 7 Wednesdays in a row, Shohei Ohtani has been the starting pitcher for the Dodgers. And when you think of a 6-man rotation and 4 of the next 5 Thursdays off, it just feels like a Shohei day.
It does, and I love the fact that it is a Wednesday for show. And now he has those days off right after he pitches and hits. And I love the fact, manager Dave Roberts said that he talked to Shohei Ohtani. He said, I want to hit. That means he feels healthy, he feels strong, and he understands that, hey, I have that day off the next day, so I can really air it out on both sides of the ball, hitting and pitching. So I think the biggest key is not so much his knee or his stamina. I think the biggest key is the blister. So we're going to be monitoring the blister as the game goes along tonight, and hopefully it's not an issue, and hopefully he gets past that issue.
You see Shohei on Wednesdays. The Dodgers were planning this. They wanted to really get guys and see what a 6-man rotation, but also guys from Japan, this is what they did. They pitched once a week. So to get them back on their schedules that they're familiar with, for Yamamoto to try to help them out, for Shohei, obviously, because of what he's doing. It's one that's familiar, but the other thing, obviously, is to protect the guy who's the two-way player and what he does. That we haven't seen. So that's the reason why the Dodgers are really trying to do that and keep it consistent. Here's your Wednesday. Also, Shohei, he's like a robot, guys. When they're around him on a regular basis, like a robot. So keeping a routine and knowing what you have to do to prepare yourself both to hit and to pitch, and knowing that it's consistent. Here's that it's every Wednesday. Here it is. You probably also look at when you're in a certain place, because you're always playing on Wednesday as well. When you look at that, and you're probably in a place, it's not like you're just flying in the night before or anything like that. It's part of a series at times. So those all factor in, like how he can be consistent on his routine to do what he's doing, and what we're amazed at watching.
Yeah, he's a funny robot. He does talk some trash. He hurt my feelings last homestand, but we're not going to go into it later. So.
No, shall we? Shall we?
Well, I was supposed to protect Shohei. I dropped the ball because I didn't want to dive, and he just said that, oh, Jay Harris, that's why you're on TV.
Yeah.
There's always a story before the story. Thanks for bringing it to life, Jay Harris. 18 hits and 7 earned runs. Certainly not what we expect when he is on the mound. Nomar, what do you expect from him today?
Well, listen, I think, I know they said it's not an issue, but we keep talking about the blister. Listen, blisters are always issues for any pitcher. They have it under control. If they have it under control, I expect him to go out there and be Shohei that we've seen. And I think he expects a lot of that out of himself, especially after the last couple outings, where it's been late in his outing. It hasn't been early when he's been dominant. It's been more that third time through the lineup.
Yeah, that is the issue. I know fans, you're getting sick of hearing that word blister. I know. Well, Shohei Ohtani, obviously a very important piece on the mound and obviously in our lineup. Hopefully it is not an issue tonight.
We've got an awesome pitching matchup for you here in the finale of this series. Joe Ryan goes for the Twins. He's been one of the best pitchers in the American League. And, of course, it is Ohtani for L.A.
Yeah, this is going to be a wonderful matchup. At least it looks that way on paper. You see what Shohei's done. The last 2 starts haven't been typical Shohei, so he's looking to right the ship. Season as a whole is still a 1.47 ERA, so it's hard to say, hey, what's going on? But he's looking to get better tonight. Joe Ryan, he's been as good as anybody in all of baseball. Look, too, he could be on the trade block. There are a lot of ball clubs that are going to be interested in him.
Young Joe Ryan fans making their way in to watch number 41 square off with one of the best pitchers in baseball. Shohei Ohtani, the 4-time MVP, a 7-2 record in 12 starts this season. Joe Ryan, not too bad himself. The California native with 10 Ks per 9 in his 16 starts. This is undoubtedly going to be a great time. We welcome all of you onto the main concourse right here at Target Field alongside Anthony Recker. I'm Katie Storm. It's been a fun series all throughout, but no doubt a lot of eyes on this series finale. It doesn't get any better than 2 of the best pitchers in baseball.
Is there a big pitching matchup tonight? Is that what we're doing? Joe Ryan versus Shohei Ohtani? This is going to be fantastic. This is what I think the culmination of this series, despite what happened yesterday, wasn't the best day for the Twins. Game 1 was a really good game. I expect to see that again tonight. I expect to see these 2 go out here, give us everything they got, put on a show like we know that Shohei and Joe Ryan can do. I'm really excited to see this one.
And it doesn't get better, too, than these 2 catching each other at this kind of time. They're both on a roll coming into their starts tonight. When you start with Shohei Ohtani, he's been pretty solid in his last 6 starts.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been solid all year. Realistically, Shohei Ohtani's been, if not the best pitcher in the NL, certainly top 2, top 3. But I would say if we were voting for Cy Young, he'd be up there. He's been phenomenal. He does it with a nice pitch mix. He's got the big 4-seam. He's got a splitty, and he's got a big sweeper that he uses. But realistically, to right-handed hitters, he's really just a 2-pitch guy.
Oh, everyone in the building is excited, Katie. Let's be honest, if you are a baseball fan, these are the kind of matchups that you can really only hope to see, because, you know, you start looking at the calendar, especially like a team like the Dodgers, team that only comes here, for 3 games every other year. You start hoping that maybe you'll see Shohei Ohtani line up for one of those 3 games, but it's not a guarantee. And then when you find out that your own team can counter with their own superstar, well, then it's just icing on the cake, but it's the kind of matchup that just doesn't come around very often. And so, yes, the fans obviously are going to be very excited, but they're not the only ones in this building that understand how special this matchup is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool when 2 aces go up against one another. You know, it's a power matchup, and like I said, I feel like the fans are going to love to watch that as much as we are. So it'll be a great night, and it's going to be fun to watch.
I think it's great for baseball and fans, but honestly for us, it's just another day. We got to work hard, attack our approach plan, and, enjoy the game, man. I think it's fun when we have fans in the seats and they're all going crazy, and it's been, for the last couple games, have been fun.
Well, I think if you're a fan of baseball, this is an exciting game. I mean, you got two premier pitchers on the mound, guys are going to go toe-to-toe. I mean, you always say it's not the pitcher battling the other pitcher. To this respect, it is a little bit because Joe has to face Shohei. But, yeah, I mean, looking forward to it just because of the fact that you got two high-end pitchers that are going to go toe-to-toe, and we're going to be able to watch it.
Now, one person who was a little bit more ho-hum about the matchup was Joe Ryan himself, because he doesn't ever focus on the opposing pitcher. In fact, when I asked him about it yesterday, he said, quote, I mean, he's cool. We have the same hairdresser, so that's pretty cool, too. Katie, guys, that is the Joe Ryan experience to a T, if I will say so myself. Just like I said, we have the same hairdresser. That's pretty neat. Well, Joe Ryan, we all know, is a superstar. So Shohei Ohtani, and yes, Joe did finally admit, he is probably the greatest baseball player of all time. But again, I'm not worried about who is going against me on the mound. So Joe Ryan, cool as a cucumber, as you would come to expect from him, guys, but it is going to be a really fun matchup, and fans are going to be hopefully in for a really good treat here in the finale.
Glenn, it's the athleticism, it's of course the fastball, it's the velo, it's a lot of things that Shohei has. He's going to be a threat tonight for Minnesota.
Yeah, but what Anthony said, I think, stands out to me, and I think it's what the Twins are going to focus on. He's basically a two-pitch guy to the right-handed batters. Lefty's a little bit more variation, but Shohei, of the 78 strikeouts he has this year, 60 of them are on the fastball or the sweeper. So you start right there. And I think the one thing that you would do against Shohei, eliminate the bottom third of the strike zone. If you're going to go down to get something, it's probably going to end up out of the strike zone. And so look in the zone, look up. Try to recognize the spin early. Last year, a couple of hard hit balls that the Twins had off a show, including Byron Buxton leading off the game with the home run. That was on a sweeper that ended middle. So if you can recognize the spin, you've got a chance. But it's really difficult. He throws gas. You know the fastball is coming in hard. Sweeper, big swing and miss rate. And he commands the ball really well as well. So it's certainly going to be a difficult task. He's one of the best pitchers in the game for a reason. And I don't know if it was him or if it was the media and the people surrounding him that said he was going to try to go for a Cy Young this year. He's well on his way now. Through his first 10 starts, he had only allowed 5 earned runs. The last 2 starts, he's allowed 7 earned runs. So maybe he's gettable right now. We'll see how the Twins approach Shohei tonight, and hopefully we'll see him make a mistake or two and some of the guys can put a ball in the seats.
If you're tuning in, I know a big reason why is you're looking forward to this pitching matchup tonight. 2 of the best pitchers in baseball squaring off, in Shohei Ohtani and Joe Ryan in this series finale. Joe Ryan getting pushed from yesterday due to illness, and it lines up perfectly. Fans are excited, and so are we, as we lead you up to first pitch right here at Target Field. Well, we've talked about Shohei Ohtani earlier in the show, but let's re-cue it. There's a lot of things that he can do. Of course, we know at the plate, but on the mound, he's got the velocity, he's got a lot of the swing and miss stuff, and we know about the athleticism that we've talked about as far as his swing at the plate. But what kind of strategy do Twins hitters have to have tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, as a right-handed hitter, which I was, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, you're looking for 2 pitches. You're looking for that 4-seam and that sweeper. Now, despite the fact that it's only 2 pitches and you think, well, that'll make it easier to try to figure out how to hit this guy, he actually has better numbers against right-handed hitters. So those 2 pitches are absolutely lethal against righties. Obviously, the high velocity, that big wide sweeper generates a ton of swing and miss. But then also, if you're a lefty, you've got to think about the splitty, and you've got to think about a little bit of a curveball that he drops in there with more depth and a little bit less velocity on it. So it's more to think about. So as hitters, what you've really got to do is just try to hone in. If you're a righty, I would almost just go, you know what, I know it's only 2 pitches, I'm just going to be sitting 1 pitch. I'm going to look for that pitch, and if I get a mistake in the 3-4 innings, whatever it is that he's out there on the mound, or my 3-4 at-bats, whatever it is that he's out there on the mound, if I can catch one, I'm going to catch one, and hopefully, boom, I knock out of the ballpark, or I drive in some runs, maybe he walks somebody in front of me, whatever that looks like. That's what you got to do, I think, if you're this Twins lineup.
Well, he is literally the best show in the game, and certainly we focus in on Shohei Ohtani, our Liberty Mutual Insurance field coverage, and tonight the Twins will see Ohtani not just bat leadoff, but on the mound here in Game 3 of the series. And you see his numbers so far this season. at the top or near the top in just about every category, both pitching and at the plate. Welcome back to the booth, everybody. Corey Provis alongside former Twins All-Star closer Glenn Perkins. And look, last year at Dodger Stadium, Perk, the Twins saw this show. They saw him pitch, and they saw him bat at Dodger Stadium last year. Now we'll see it again tonight at Target Field.
Well, and Byron Buxton led off that game with a home run. It was a hanging breaking ball. Shohei only threw 3 innings in that game because when you're one of the best hitters on the planet, you have to do your Tommy John rehab progression in season in real time. You don't get to do that somewhere else. So he rehabbed throughout the season last year, and now he's back at full strength, having probably his best pitching season so far in his career. Now, his first 10 starts of this year, 5 earned runs. The last 2 starts, 7 earned runs. So he's probably as gettable as he's going to be right now, and let's see tonight what the Twins offense can do against Shohei.
Yeah, those last 2 starts dealing with both a sore knee and a blister on his right middle finger. That is worth watching here tonight. So Ohtani, the headline. Rushing, Freeland and Ohtani. All 3 go down swinging, and Ryan now with 7 strikeouts through 4 innings so far tonight. Twins coming up bottom 4, trailing by 1. We keep it here for tonight's Twins Insider, and Shohei Ohtani's ability to play both sides, pitch and hit, is truly remarkable. And for more on that, we check in with Audrey.
Yeah, it really is, Corey. Earlier today, Derek Shelton called Shohei Ohtani the unicorn of baseball. He said, I don't know him, but he obviously has to be extremely intelligent to be able to process the amount of information that he has from both sides of the ball. So with that said, I wanted to know just how hard it would be. And for that, I went straight to the source and asked Derek Shelton's own pitchers about two-way players.
He's one of a kind. It takes a special player to do that, and yeah, that's a lot of stuff to do during the day. I guess you really have to compartmentalize what's important. And I think he's probably got his routine pretty dialed in. So, yeah, I can't even begin to imagine what that's like.
It's a lot. It's a lot, right? You gotta be able to perfect your craft on both sides of the ball. It's like just doing one of those things is pretty much time consuming, is day in and day out. But to be able to balance the two, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Maybe I don't know if he gets more minutes of the day than everybody else, but yeah, I don't know how he's working all that in. The thing about Ohtani, I think that's overlooked, and one of his best attributes is his speed. He's one of the faster players in the league too, and it just doesn't get talked about because of all of his other stuff, but he's definitely fast.
Bailey Ober told me that he wishes that he could follow Ohtani around for a day just to see what his routine is like, because it's fascinating to him. But then he also added, guys, he's probably just that talented. He could probably just step up to the plate without having to do any preparation, and he would still be as good because he's just that talented, that athletic. That about sums it up, because obviously Shohei Ohtani can do just about everything extremely well.
That was the thought that was on my mind listening to those guys and thinking about the routine that Shohei must go through, but part of it has to be that it just comes so easy to him. But I'm with Raj too. He must have more minutes in the day than everybody else. I think that's the best explanation, because for anybody that's played the game at this level, you know how hard, whatever job it was you had, how difficult that was, and he's doing both of those jobs, and I don't understand, other than this is just like him playing out in the backyard or in the cul-de-sac when you're a kid. That has to be what it's like for him.
Pitch count issues right here, so this will be sorted out here momentarily. Yeah, I was telling the story earlier about Ohtani and how all this began. So again, he had this dream of going right from high school to the big leagues. But then Hokkaido, the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters, made this wonderful presentation to Shohei, his family, and they labeled this presentation, quote, the path to realizing Shohei Ohtani's dream, including the point that nearly all Japanese players who thrived in Major League Baseball began their careers by playing professionally in Japan.
You look at how you guys won this game. I know it started with Shohei, but to see this bullpen, how they fought through to pick up this win, what are you just seeing from the guys coming out of the bullpen?
They did an amazing job just keeping them off balance. I know we got in a little bit of trouble, but they got themselves out of it. Shohei had a little misstep early, but he was able to kind of settle in. So the guys are just resilient, and it showed.
Do you think it was settling in for Shohei, or did you feel like there was another edge after that second inning of work?
It was probably a little bit of both. I mean, once he was able to settle in, and when he gets fired up, you know, he's already the best player in the world, but when he gets fired up, it's even better. And so at that point, we were just kind of sitting back and watching the show.
Shohei, can you just walk us through that second inning? It's clear that there were a couple emotions, maybe some frustration. Can you just describe what happened there?
2イニング目いろいろ表情にいろいろ出たんですけども、何が起きたのかとか教えて。
全体的にやっぱりそのイニング、1イニングもそうでしたけど、やっぱ迷いながらこう投げてる感じはあったので、それがこう球の質的にも出てたのかなとは思います。
It's the first two innings. Actually, I wasn't quite convicted in a lot of the pitches I wanted to throw, so I think that's what you saw.
Bouncing back from that inning, though, did it feel like how you finished this game was with a little extra conviction or a little extra energy or maybe edge to your game?
その後は結構決意持った投球だったと思うんですけども、何かそう感じてましたか？
もう自分でそのなんていうんですか、組み立てであったりとか球種の選択だったりとかっていうのをまずこうやってみようっていうのがなんていうんですかね、いい投球の一つの要因だったのかなとは思います。
Yeah, I just took the initiative to really game plan and just have a plan of attack for each hitter, and I think that's what you saw.
Were you and Dalton having a hard time getting on the same page early in the game?
ラッシュとちょっとなかなかいい感じじゃなかったっていうか何か。
そうゲーム前にもねいろいろミーティングをしますし共有はするんですけど、やっぱそのゲームの中で、組み立てであったりとかっていうのも変わることもありますし、そのバッターの反応であったりとかなんていうんですかね、どういう感覚で打席に立っているのか、それによって回球もまた変わってくるので、これ一つということではなくて、まずコミュニケーションしっかり取りながらやらないといけないのかなとは、前回もそうでしたけどね。
Yeah, I think we talked through the hitters, pre-game meetings, before the game. It's something that we always do, and it's something that it's more of the in-game sort of flexibility, just reading the swings, reading how the hitters really taking the approach during the game that I see where where the adjustment needs to happen. And in that sense, I think we just, I personally realized, we just have to be on a better, on the same page and communicate throughout the game.
What happened on the pass ball? Like, what was that a cross up there? Or what happened on the pass ball?
では何が起きたんですかと、何かサインミスとかそういうことですか？
そうですね。変化球とまっすぐ、どっちも出たんですけど、僕は最後の球種をチョイスというかだろうなとは思ったんですけど、ラッシング的にはその動き始めたのが1球目だったので、最初のオフスピードのサインが来ると思ってたっていう、そういう感じだったかなと思います。
Yeah, there were two pitches were called. The first one was off speed. The second pitch was fastball. To Rush. Rush thought that he was getting an off speed because I started moving after the first pitch was called. But what I had in mind was the second pitch, which was the last pitch, which was a fastball.
You pride yourself on separating pitching and hitting. When you have a frustrating inning like the second, how are you able to compose yourself to hit in the third? Did you just channel all your anger in that one at bat?
ね、何かそのピッチングと、どうですか？
それは全く関係ないですかね。もうバッター席の中でやることっていうのは決まってるので、そのメンタルがどうのこうのっていうこともないですし、自分がやることやって打てない時もあれば打てる時もあるので、全くそこは関係ないかなとは思ってます。
I don't think there's a correlation. The hitting and pitching side of things, I try to keep it separate, and I don't think that had an effect on my hitting.
So So the early frustrations obviously became a big story of the game. I'll start with you, Jay Hare. The early frustrations, how he was able to get composed, fight through it, and then obviously what he was able to do at the plate after.
Well, listen, I love how Sho was completely honest, and his translator, Will, did an outstanding job really kind of conveying what was going on between the pitcher and the catcher, Sho and obviously Dalton Rushing. That's going to happen. That happens throughout the course of a game sometimes. Definitely is going to happen a few times throughout the course of a season. Here, this is we call a cross-up. Dalton Rushing is expecting a breaking ball, something off speed, and obviously Shohei Ohtani throws the fastball, and that's why you see Dalton Rushing missing. See, he looks back confused. I thought I put down a breaking ball, and then Sho said, no, no, no. The last pitch you called was a fastball. That's why they have this meeting on the mound. I was going, as I'm moving, that's the pitch I'm going to call. So obviously they weren't on the same page on that particular pitch, and really they weren't on the same page with the challenges. You know, Shohei Ohtani got pretty aggressive, wanted Dalton Rushing to challenge. You see Shohei kind of go to the attack. Hey, that's a strike. Why don't you challenge that? That pitch right there, that's a cross-up, by the way.
Yes,
Dalton Rushing was able to save it. You see Sho, no, 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 no. That's a strike. They challenge, and obviously Sho was right. So, again, this is going to happen. Sho throws up to Will Smith a whole lot more than Dalton Rushing, but they got on the same page. It happens. You know, there's going to be some frustration. This is the big leagues. You see Freddie Freeman, a great leader on this team, making sure he talks to Dalton Rushing. You see manager Dave Roberts talk to Dalton Rushing. This happens over a course of a 162-game season. This is going to happen. And you know what? I love that it happens, because sometimes you need to kind of go through some of these type of things to make sure things are ironed out. So if this happens in the postseason, guys are familiar. Hey, we are able to adjust on the spot and a lot quicker.
Right, and listen, right now, you know, he is the catcher because of Will Smith being hurt, right? And then Will Smith comes back. You never know what can happen, and you have your backup, so they have to get on the same page. And Jerry's exactly right. You might have these issues, and when you have these, sometimes you need explode, because sometimes they're just kind of festering, and sometimes there's things, and this is when they do kind of come to light. It's like, now we can finally get on the same page. You get your point out, I get my point out. Let's go.
What was the challenge of facing Shohei after the 3-run second inning?
I mean, the stuff ticked up. I mean, I think you see why he's one of the best pitchers in the game, because we got the 3 runs off him, and it was almost like he took his stuff to a different level.
It seemed like kind of a weird inning, because a couple of those pitches definitely looked like they got a lot of the plate, but I think the Ohtani single looked like probably where you wanted it. I mean, was it kind of coming and going as far as location for you?
Yeah, I think it's just like movement quality, and like then that's going to end up in a different spot probably, or like that kind of stuff. And I mean, the results, like we were kind of going for some of the stuff we got. They just were in holes, right? Like ground balls that just kind of get through, and yeah, just part of baseball. And yeah, I think just movement-wise, I think that's kind of where command goes, right? If it moves a little bit less or moves a little differently, then it's not going to go where the intended zone is. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. You're not always going to have your best stuff, but yeah.
Obviously, fans were jacked to see this matchup between you two stars in this major leagues. Do you get a different feeling when it was a showdown like that? I know you're not obviously against him, although you did face him at the plate, but did you approach this any differently?
Obviously, best team in baseball last long time. So yeah, I think you're just maybe a little bit more excited. I mean, I wasn't feeling great, so it's kind of like, hey, are we going to throw this week or not? And I had asked to throw today, and I wanted to face these guys. And yeah, I mean, I think a couple pitches go a little bit differently, and it's a good outing, and we win the baseball game, and don't get swept there. So yeah, if I could throw this series, I wanted to, and I wanted to face the best team. So yeah, it's part of it. I mean, Shohei's obviously the greatest baseball player ever, so kind of cool to get to toe the rubber against him, but we lost.
Dalton, I know it was a frustrating second inning. When you look at how just you as well as Shohei were able to reset and get back on track, how would you just describe handling that for yourself personally?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I didn't do a great job. Start to finish. It was pretty embarrassing. Thankfully, he's as good as he is, and he could take control of a game. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
You have so much support, though. I mean, to have the conversations, whether I saw Freddie come up to you, Dave Roberts. I mean, I know that as you said, today may have felt embarrassing, but to have their support in that conversation, what does that just mean to you?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, they always have my back. Once again, it's embarrassing that I need support like that. I'm a grown man. Yeah, it's a pretty tough pill to swallow. Both sides of the ball. It was not a great showing, and hasn't been great as of late, and I'm going to be better.
Were you that feeling in the moment there, where you kind of like just, in terms of just like as the innings progressing, so then how difficult was it to sort of keep it one thing rolling into another?
It's about as difficult as I made it look.
You say embarrassing, are you talking specifically about like the pitch calling?
Baseball, overall, performance. It's pretty bad. I'm just glad we won.
What exactly happened on the crossout?
It's fine. Shohei and I talked about it. It was error on my side, and I messed it up. So
Dave, we were just talking with Dalton. It's clear that he's very frustrated with how tonight has gone, and even, I mean, he kind of alluded to maybe the last few games have gone for him. When you have a young player, what is it like just helping him kind of manage these emotions and get through this time and get through a game like today?
It's a work in progress. I mean, he's such a, he wants to do really well and expects a lot of himself. And so, when he's not doing what he expects, that he gets frustrated. And I think the good thing is that he still understands his priority is to, serve the pitchers and be behind the plate. But yeah, the last few games, he's had a tough go of it and swinging through some fastballs, which is a strength of his. And so, yeah, I mean, it's still tough to hit, and he's still having a really nice year for us and helping us win a lot of ball games.
How did you see just kind of that second inning play out, and then he and Shohei, the two of them, get back on track and kind of handle the rest of their outing?
Yeah, they were just kind of out of sync early. You could tell. I think both guys were frustrated and trying to, get on the same page. I thought Mark made a good visit and trying to settle some things down, get them on the same page, and then after that, it went really well. So, yeah, that third inning was kind of a tough one, but fortunately the offense came back and got us a lead and didn't relinquish it. But, yeah, I think just trying to keep those guys in sync, which at times has been a little bit of a challenge.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。